my vision, dream, or intention to meet my colleagues, Priscilla, Robert. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning to you, Felix, and welcome to yet a brand new week, the last week of the month of February. Finally, we can get rid of this month of love and Chirabo and the likes that follow in that. My name is Priscilla Naloga, and can I say good morning, Uganda? Welcome back from a fantastic weekend. I trust that where we left you off on Friday, it was only the beginning of the best weekend of your life. Now, as you know, it is the 21st day of February, and funny enough, it is in the second month, and funny enough, it's in the 21st year of the 20th century to 2000 because of the year. Those were 21st century. Yeah, so basically you have only 2 and 1s reigning throughout the day. The question is, are you going to be number 1 or are you going to be number 2 in this day? There's no option for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 today. You can only be number 1 or number 2. So let that stir you up into the morning and the rest of the day as you get into the business or the order for the day.
Robert, good morning.
Good morning, Felix, and good morning, our dear lovely viewers. It's always a pleasure waking up and knowing that you're on UBC TV.
Robert, just something quite interesting about you. I was talking to a colleague of mine that were asking me, what is the inspiration for that channel?
I know, I was just about to say that, yeah, Chirabo, you have had a clean-up, a nice clean-up. You look very handsome, very handsome.
That channel, or do you belong to the Fugees, the West, the Hard West? Some of those guys, the Boys to Men used to do. Those are really, really classical Asians.
Oh yes, Boys to Men, by the way. Do you?
What's the inspiration?
Well, the inspiration is Craig David. I don't know if you remember that artist.
Craig David.
Yeah, when we were growing up, he hit it. And for his, it would come right from here, then go around. So, I like that
you summarized
so
it
much.
just here.
And I couldn't have that long one that stretches. It was one line. No, at one level I found it.
We can add that. What was that chemical in school that boys used to put in there?
It burnt me.
Hey!
It burnt me.
But it grew something, right?
Yeah, I had to be a little bit more patient.
So, Robert, Craig David, what do you like? What inspired about Craig David?
And then also, another person who inspired me was the late Ballet Francis.
Yeah.
Every time I liked his white beard, you know, and he looked so lovely.
So we should get some chalk and
that time will also come.
It a little bit.
That time will also come. Like I told you, that chemical burnt me because I wanted that beard. So, but it wasn't yet the time. Now I want the white one. But I just believe when time...
Felix is talking. Last year he was busy, you know, harassing us with his... I don't know if it was Bin Laden.
It's coming. It's
coming. Felix, what was the inspiration last year?
No, I told you it was November, and definitely it was a subscription for many to do cause advocacy for people who are ailing with cancer. Okay,
so blessed am I to be amidst the channel O's this morning. Clearly, I have a channel office.
No. Let me tell you this. Speaking about channel O's and all these kind of things that people are getting inspired.
Felix, before you go, you know you say channel O, and it reminds me of that song, O. What it was called? What? O.
Oh, by?
I think by Ragadi or something like that.
Letter O.
Letter O.
Okay. One thing I know about Ragadi, that is Daniel Kaziwe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why he puts on oversized clothes. I just don't know.
Again, inspired by his generation. You know, the people that he used
people break out of generation. Meanwhile, we have seen the likes of the Chakademas and Pliers. You've seen, okay, even if you come back here, many people are in his league, the Oimpra Orlandos, the Harimas of this world, just to mention. But if you pass, but the inspiration cannot be limited to... But anyway, speaking about inspiration, Priscilla, Friday was a heat one. We did top notch. We were in Maya Nature Resort. We had a good time over there. We had nice breeze. Yeah. And speaking about some of the things that were done there, I saw you swinging. Was it swinging, sliding, jumping? I don't know. Let's just look at this.
Hey, Chinekeo. Give right into the of the morning Uganda, ushering you. And now, you know that for every adult, we want to enjoy the spaces. I am at Maya Nature Resort, and guess where I am exactly? I am at the Playland Park in the resort. Now the Playland Park is where the kids like me come from. By kids like me, I mean I may be an adult, but there's a child in me. You know that saying that in every adult, there's a child in them. And so I want to put the child in me to a test and see if they're still alive and working in me. And the only way I'm going to do that is by attempting these things we used to do when we were children. So here we go. Yeah! Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. Imagine if you could actually come and tell.
What was that?
Thank
The
God
kid
you
in you,
Do
the
you know
child
that
in you.
song?
Indeed.
That depends on the nursery school where you were. Because as others were singing Roll on Your Boat, others some clean battered. So, Priscilla, there are some nursery rhymes that define the nursery school you went to.
No, but honestly, and I must appreciate exactly you bringing out the child.
Yeah,
in
the
you.
child in her.
You see, one of the things that we've been continuously advocating for, and rather as advocates, is to have parents engage children in things that will form their minds, and not only academics. I can tell you as a matter of fact that exposure is one of the best ways of learning, or informal sort of system of learning. So if we want to thank the parents of Naroga Priscilla for having exposed this young duckling. Like now you're reminding me of what my friend has been.
Geese. It's duckling, now rolls with geese.
Have you heard of this most recent saying?
Which one?
Kana kambata, child of a duck. So, so Kana kambata, Priscilla.
Yeah.
You brought out the child in you. But of course, there's also something quite interesting, speaking about children, Priscilla, is Shema Graham. One of those kids that has caused inspiration into reality. He's been already caused himself to get some awards in line of what his inspiration is.
Yeah.
Now, this is a very profound message to all viewers out there, to all parents out there, and to all children, most importantly. Pick up your dream and don't let no one stop you. Let's take a look at Shema Graham.
He may only be 7 years old, but Graham Shema's dreams are sky high.
In future, I want to be a pilot and an astronaut. I was interested in astronomy because I wanted to go to Mars and the moon.
Inspired by his idol SpaceX founder Elon Musk, Graham has already flown as a trainee 3 times on a Cessna 172 aircraft, leading to him becoming a sensation in Uganda, where he's been invited to meetings by the Transport Minister and the German ambassador.
Pinching up is like this. It's like this.
Shema's curiosity for flight came after a freak accident. When he was 3 years old, a police helicopter flew so low to the ground that it blew off the roof of his grandmother's house on the outskirts of Kampala.
Well, that's Shema for you. Graham also there. I was just wondering why his names have to be Shema Graham, but he is Shema Graham. He's such a lovely and handsome young man who has an inspiration to fly the crane into the world space. Quite beautiful, but I love the fact that at a very tender age of about 7, he's already pursuing his dream. The question is, how many of you at your various ages are pursuing their dreams? Priscilla, Robert, doesn't this cause news? Just briefly, doesn't this excite you? Shirab.
It really does excite me, and actually what comes to my mind is how can we tailor-make our education system so that instead of children spending so much time getting things out of their passion, because what hurts, here people take courses because of the marks they have attained or the money they have for some courses. But if such a young man is mentored, he has a role model, the parents, and is driven to such a direction, he will be a very great pilot there.
Well, of course, you do know his inspiration is actually very interesting. Once upon a time, in Kampala, a suburb here, he was in the house with his grandmother, and then suddenly a plane passed over their roof, but it flew so low that the roof over his grandmother's house actually went off. And so he got interested in this machine that had the power to blow off the machine of his grandmother's house. And so in the year 2020, while others were locked down mentally, physically, and surrounding-wise, he decided to pick up interest in aviation. So his mother put him in a conducive environment. They had online classes that they signed him up for, and he has gone through some stages of understanding the aviation parts of a plane and things like that, up to the extent of even going into the plane and actually attempting to fly it. And so he's been awarded by Boeing for just doing that. It's very inspirational, even to the older people, to the people who serve in aviation. It's inspiration to know that there's actually young people as young as 7 years old who want to come up and be part of the aviation of Uganda, which in turn, of course, would be representation on the international scene. So it's a good inspiration, but it also leaves you with a question mark. You do have a child in your house. How have you inspired them, or how have you helped them realize their dream? Believe you me, children do have dreams, they do have hopes, but do you put them in the right spaces? Do you put them in the right environments to nurture that in them? Something for you to think about.
Very interesting there. And now that we have the entire flight, these are so many of the opportunities that now our children can be able to achieve their dreams. What are some of the benefits of revamping Uganda Airlines? Well, let's begin by looking at some of the stories that were in our news bulletins for the last 12 hours. Beginning with Uganda's relationship and China, where China has reaffirmed its commitment to further boosting the bilateral relationships with Uganda, which were currently elevated to comprehensive cooperative partnership status. In a special representative message of China's president and a high-ranking member of the China Communist Party, delivered during a meeting with Ugandan officials held at the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Kampala, Yang Jinch, speaking through a translator, delivered his president's message congratulating the NRM and President Yoweri Museveni on his recent re-election. He said the People's Republic of China is aiming at boosting the bilateral relations between the two countries. On his part, Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa, who led the Ugandan delegation during the closed-door technical talks, assured the visiting Chinese senior official of Uganda's commitment to strengthening ties between the two countries. Addressing the press shortly after the closed-door talks, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Okero Oryem, said that the discussions centered on a range of issues.
Judiciary dismissed allegations circulating on social media on the alleged secrecy meeting between the Chief Justice, top management of Judiciary, and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Social media was awash with photos showing the Chief Justice's car parked at State House Entebbe. This was meant to allege that the head of Judiciary was in a secret meeting with the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. According to social media posts, the alleged photos and information about the secret meeting were purportedly leaked by a police officer only known as John Ednyango. The head of communications at the judiciary, Jameson Kalemani, dismissed the said allegations, saying they are falsehoods and fake news. Kalemani also said the alleged photos on social media are archives taken during the memorial service of the late Archbishop Janan Luum or at the swearing-in of Justice Margaret Apini. Kalemani also highlighted on how the Chief Justice can run official duties as the head of the judiciary arm of government and at the same time as Justice of the Supreme Court. Justice Alfonso Owini Dolo, during a recent session at the Supreme Court, said the judges of the Supreme Court are not easy to scare, induce, or intimidate.
Still regarding people in the legal fraternity, the Deputy Chief Justice, Richard Butera, asked advocates and legal practitioners to concentrate on giving out facts as known to them and not conceal the truth. This was during the launch of a book titled Law Practice in Uganda, authored by Associate Professor Francis Wazarewanchi Bwenje of School of Law, Kumba University. Kumba University School of Law launched a book entitled Law Practice in Uganda, that gives insight of the practice and wayward of the law practice in the country. The ceremony was graced by the Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, Richard Butera, Justice Remy Kasule, staff of Nkumba University, advocates, among others. Legal practitioners are seeking for reforms of the law governing legal practice in the country to internationally to allow them expand their wings elsewhere. These are some of the insights of the book. Professor Francis Wenje, the author of the book, encouraged other professors and advocates to also author books to betterment of the law practice in the country.
Standoffs between the media and security operatives were an unfortunate occurrence, but not about to end. Just recently, a scuffle happened between the media and military police as NUP's leader lodged a complaint at the UN Human Rights Office in Kololo. With apologies and condemnations drawn from a section of government officials, including the CDF General David Mohozi, the Ministry of ICT has resolved to dialogue with media as a way forward. This was at a weekly press brief by the Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Judith Nabakuva, at her offices in Kampala. The minister also reminded Ugandans about the planned changes in issuance of permits. Government is also calling for preparations by parents, learners and proprietors ahead of semi-candidates class resumption.
Relatedly, on issues of the media and security agencies, the National Resistance Movement Party has regretted the recent beating of journalists who were on duty. The day Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was at the UN Human Rights Offices in Kololo. The Director of Communication at the NRM Secretariat, Emmanuel Dombo, thanked the media for giving objective coverage of NRM activities. The National Resistance Movement Party said the recent assault of journalists by military was a regrettable incident. The journalists were battered on the day Kyagulanyi was presenting his grievances to the United Nations Human Rights Offices in Kololo. This was during a media briefing held at the NRM offices in Kampala. The National Resistance Movement lawyer also criticized the conduct of petitioners in the presidential election case. Kyagulanyi has been critical of the court process where he is seeking legal redress. He even publicly threatened to withdraw the case. The NRM lawyers are, however, not moved by this move. The National Resistance Movement Party said they have filed 188 affidavits in response to the petition logged by NUP's lawyers in the Supreme Court, challenging the January 14th presidential elections with a view of overturning the NRM victory. Well, interesting stories there for you in case you missed any of our bulletins. That is just a recap of a few highlights. Felix, we move to international stories.
Well, of course, international stories. Now we'll be looking at Harry and Meghan and not returning as working members of the royal family. Now, last week, news broke that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle royal did exit it's officially and permanently. Now, Buckingham Palace confirmed the decision in a statement that explained what is the exit becoming permanent means for Harry and Meghan honorary titles and progenies of forward. Now, the Queen confirmed the couple would not continue with the responsibilities and duties that come with the life of public service. A statement from the palace added Prince Harry and Meghan remain much loved members of the family. Then the couple said service is universal and offered to continue support to the organizations they have presented. And the Duke and Duchess say that January they would step back as senior royals and work to become financially independent. And the couple who now live in California formally stepped down in March with a plan to review their arrangements after 12 months. Now we cross back to Africa in quite a very unfortunate incident there where we see 7 die in Nigerian Air Force Abuja plane crash. Now 7 people have died after a Nigerian military plane crashed short of a runway in the capital Abuja on Sunday morning, according to officials. Nigerian Air Force plane had reported engine failure, the military spokesperson tweeted. The plane was on the way to Mina in the northern state of Niger to try and rescue 42 people who had been kidnapped. The chief of the air staff has ordered an immediate investigation. In a series of tweets there, the Air Force asked the public to remain calm and await the outcome of the investigations. Now, still in the same region, we're looking at 7 Niger election officials killed by landmine on polling day. Now, 7 members of the Electoral Commission in Niger have been killed in the landmine explosion. The team's car drove over an improvised explosive device in the Talibari region in the country, that is the southwest of the country. It was not known whether the vehicle was deliberately targeted or not. Now, Nigerians were voting on Sunday in a second round of the presidential election that will see the first democratic transition of power since independence in 1960. Another 3 weeks were injured, another 3 workers were injured in the same incident and were leaving to drop off ballot boxes and the members of the polling station. That is Haruna Mokula, a local electoral commission official, told the news agency. Very unfortunate news coming in from that part of Africa. Horn of Africa. We're looking at Nigeria, where we saw a plane crash, and later on crossing over to Niger, where we saw Electoral Commission officials also suffered, and most of them died from an explosive that is presumed to have been landmine. It's unfortunate what's happening in these other parts of Africa, but of course not far from the same. So much again is happening. You saw the news that also came in from Mali, where we saw a bit of disruptions. We also had news previously that again there's been a couple of abductions again in Nigeria. No wonder even the plane that crashed was going to save another 42 there. The Boko Haram has caused quite vivid stains in its activities, so it does cause a bit of worry amidst this COVID-19, that we're still battling COVID-19 and later on also battling the species of our own making. Robert, it is quite unsightly, I must say, what's happening on the African continent. But the big question has always been, where are the big brothers who sit under the umbrella of the African Union when all this is happening?
Very challenging, Felix. I've always said we need to empower the African Union to be strong enough financially, militarily, and also ensure that, because these are the areas that have been challenging, one, financial muscle, two, sometimes military muscle. And if we build a strong African Union, then we shall be able to address some of these challenges. When you look at most of the areas where we're having peacekeeping mission, yes, our boys, our girls could be there, but who is funding this? So these are some of the challenges. Unless we have a strong body, that is when we can be able to say, okay, Nigeria, we have this Boko Haram, let this force stand, let's go attack, let's be able to eliminate this. But now it remains a challenge. Each country is looking at Uganda have just left elections. Then some country, now they're heading into this, that, and that. So it's only that when we will be sure of victory in some of these issues. But also, Felix, there's a story I enjoyed so much. You said we are ending February, the month of love. But one thing I've seen is the power of love when it comes to what is happening in the United Kingdom. More so the Queen, when we see Meghan, this lady, I don't know if it's the right number, the wrong number, but you're seeing where she's getting that kingdom that has been there for years and years, and now one of the prince, day by day, making some steps that may not be okay with the Queen and the entire royals.
Well, there's always a first time, I must say. Priscilla, please don't ever take away your man from his people. Please don't ever take away your... I'm just saying, please don't ever take
power of love
away our prince from the kingdom.
Oh yes, yeah, okay.
Because
all
definitely,
right,
and I find that very, very selfish of Meghan and Harry. I think they're not putting in contemplation the lineage that will come after them, because that's a choice they have made that is going to affect so many people, probably their children, their grandchildren. Yeah. They don't know if they should have chose this way. I think it's a bit, and you see, when it comes to lineage, you don't just break them.
Felix, you speak I'm just thinking. The particular prince we're talking about, Prince Harry, is like 6th in succession. So by the time eventualities ever bring that up, maybe it would be
Priscilla,
like in a crash.
We have people who are in 42nd like in lineage.
But also, it shows you the times have changed, because we do have the sister to Queen Elizabeth, who's Margaret, Princess Margaret. She had wanted to do the same thing when she was about the same age as Prince Harry, but they refused her because, one, the privileges. There were so many terms and conditions at that time than they are right now. Now, the Queen and the entire dynasty has become a bit liberal and lenient with time. That has evolution, should we say, has come upon, you know, the dynasty of England. But in consideration, for me, this is interesting because they could not permit it to Prince Margaret when the brother, no, the father to actually Queen Elizabeth, in his time, his brother was the actual king. But because he had relations with Russia at that point, Russia was a very political country and they were so into ammunition, it was speculated that he was giving away secrets and he was dethroned. Therefore, the father of Queen Elizabeth then took on the throne. So he was second in line. He was not the first actual king, direct king. He was the second direct king. So when he becomes king, then that's how Queen Elizabeth becomes queen, because she was the first child of that particular king. But that goes to show you that there's actually been evolution, because at the time it was not allowed. It was by law, and also it shows you that the people who are governing and shielding the dynasty have also changed. The custodians of the dynasty have changed. Those that wouldn't have allowed this to happen have passed on. So now you have people that are liberal and have gone through the actual system of, you know, UK and its liberalism, and they're commoners now into the palace, and so they come with a different mindset to permit such things.
Speaking about liberalism, changing, evolution, Princess Priscilla, we will dive into our song of the day, but when we come back, we'll be ushering ourselves into Newsville, where me and my colleagues will be discussing aspects of saving, social fund, and more.
If Chirabo this year can get his NSS,
because he has clocked, okay.
He has clocked the
age.
For the last 10 years, you must have clocked 45 years. Then it's not just a matter, there are also other conditions. It's not automatic that clocking 45 years is a guarantee that you get your benefits.
Next up, that we shall come back to that discussion.
The actual age, the 62, I think 60 something.
Yes.
We'll be back to have a discussion quite more into the same, and we'll be looking at how you can be able to get your benefits as per the new law that Parliament has been pushing.
This is Good Morning Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Wake up to Good Morning Uganda, weekdays on UBC.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Was brought to you by. Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
It's no secret that ICT makes life
is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV every weekday. Just to remind you, make it a date to start your day with us from the hour of 6:30. We are here till 9 when Ruben Pimas Kasera Chibirango crowns it all with a world of sports. So we have a very rich breakfast for you, because we begin with the local stories, the international stories. We come to a newsreel story where we select an issue and digest it, the three of us. Then later, we take you through some of the stories in the dailies, and Priscilla, our traffic officer there, gives you the traffic updates. Then we move into GMU agenda, where we usually have a guest and we discuss issues of national concern. Ruben Pima comes in and takes you through sports. So do not miss what a heavy breakfast we have for you every morning. This morning, we are going to be looking at the Nssf Bill, where for the last 2 years this has been in Parliament. Last year they agreed to midterm benefits but had not concluded on which percentages. This is what we are going to be discussing and digesting this morning. But just to give you some of the content of this bill, where Ugandans should be knowing that now, by inserting, that is section 24A, will allow workers midterm access to their savings. According to the amendment, a contributor who has saved for 10 years and is age of 45, all above, will be allowed to access 20% of their accrued benefits. Under the amendment, a contributor who fails to get employment for 5 years after losing a job have to wait until they attain the age of 45 years to be allowed to access at least 40% of their savings. Then a person with a disability, this is the PWs, who contributes to Nssf and fails to secure a new job a year after losing the previous one, will be allowed to access 75% of their accrued benefits. Parliament, just remind you, had passed the clause of midterm access to savings, but had not conclusively debated on which percentages. So there you are, Uganda. Now you know that you can access your midterm benefits, but there are also some terms and conditions. Felix, just to give shape to our discussion, let's first of all better understand what is social security and why did we come up with a national social security fund?
Well, Robert, speaking about social security fund, it is simply the reflection of what the private or the sector that is not employed directly with government. And this is, for example, when you talk about Nssf, it is the National Social Security Fund. Now, in a sense of security for people who do not directly earn pension. In short, it is for non-government workers or people who are not employed with government directly, for starters. The essence or the ultimate purpose is that it is meant to secure money for those category of people, and the same money shall be received as a retirement benefit, presumed retirement benefit. That was the thesis of the same. Now, most recent what we are seeing is that, you see, the biggest point of discourse, the pivotal point of discourse is the word security fund, social security fund. When you try to define those words, social security fund, it brings it sort of like it brings into contemplation an argument that should be aligned with a point where one must be using that fund as a matter of like a backup. You get it?
At soft landing?
No,
when you're out of
no. It has nothing to do with that, Robert, even. It has everything to do with security at the point of most need. That's why it is given when someone is out of employment. That was the initial direct, at least written employment, as you may call it, or what the law terms it. Yeah. So that's why it is given at that point when you are not under any written employment. The other second was disability, because it must suit the articulate purpose of security. Then later on, you have to look at it from an angle of social fund. But again, it must cause into contemplation the people's agitations and benefits of those societies. If you have seen most recent, that now you have the Nssf is allowed to reinvest that money and get profits. That's why when you put, for example, 200,000, you don't get exactly 200. The social aspect. This is basically what was in the mind of crafting a national security fund. It's everywhere in the world. It's everywhere. It's not anew, but it must be also suiting the wave of people beliefs as they are at the moment. That's why today we are discussing the bill.
Priscilla, looking at this midterm access to Nssf, is accessing your savings at the age of 45 years, in your opinion, worth it?
Again, we might need to look at it in terms of social. Who are the beneficiaries? Yes, 45 may be the case, but at what point did you start saving? Now, for example, if there was a one person called Chirabo, and they probably are under a cleaning company. So imagine if their pay is about 200, 250, and maybe they get contribution of Nssf to the tune of 30,000 shillings. What does that imply? That after, depending upon what time they actually were signed up for Nssf, are they eligible to get that 20, 30,000 added to their Nssf account every single month as directed by Nssf, the 15%. Now, if this person was employed at 30, that gives him 15 years, and that is under the assumption that they've been employed for those 15 years and getting that percentage, or even a better percentage should they change employment. Now, at 45, I don't think they do have enough money for them to be able to go and get 20% of that money to be able to use it as a young person to reinvest for that matter. And so it puts them at pressure of, I'm not already earning enough, I'm earning little, and so my Nssf contribution is little, that if I've got an employment at 35, it gives me only 10 years. You multiply that, you do the mathematics, you don't have enough money. So a one Chirabo would consider and think, go back to the drawing board and maybe opt for the 55 to 65 at the end, which is retirement age. They would prefer to wait that long, because then the money would have accumulated to be able to be gotten as a lump sum. It would be a lot of money for them to get out and be able to put it into whatever they want to put it into. So there's that case scenario. Then there's a case scenario of Priscilla, who of course has been in employment, and she's been there for about 20 years. So by the time she clocks 45, surely she has something, enough money on her account. Of course, this is in consideration that she contributes 100,000 shillings plus on her Nssf that is cut off her salary. That means that by the age of 45, if I've been working for 20 years, I have a lot of money on my account that even when I deduct the 20%, it will be a big chunk of money that I can invest in a business. For example, if I wanted to start up a catering business, that means that if I get about 50, 60 million at 45, that's money enough for me to actually start or invest in a business or farming, whatever the passion is, and be able to develop myself or grow myself as a young person when I still have energy and you know, the will to do things at the age of 45. So those two scenarios are, you know, are to the extreme. To one person, it will be exciting. To another person,
actually, we should use to one category.
To one category.
To the other category, it may not.
Exactly. So then the question, is it worth it at 45, goes back to the individual who has been saving. For how long have their employees, as employees plus employer, been contributing to that Nssf fund? Then can they go back to the drawing board, do the mathematics, what's the equivalent of that? Should they be still subscribing to Nssf at 45 to be able to get that? So that it has it has two sides to the story, to the coin.
But speaking about, just probably also to chip in right there, you must look at the spirit of this bill. It has been quite there for time. I must say probably as old as about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was introduced 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it's been shelved. Now, the reminisce...
Actually, it was introduced 2 years ago. Yeah, last year it was passed for midterm, but they had failed to agree on percentages.
What I'm saying is the contemplation about having it as an exercise, quite important, most recent, was a feeling that was brought by the COVID-19. Now, we must appreciate the spirit that maketh this law manifest today. What am I saying? That when you talk about security fund, now, security is not limited to age, and this has been arguments since even the time of introduction, because the first deliberations were with the civil society and legal and what.
So before we attach it to age, what is security?
No, security, what I'm saying, cannot be limited to age. Now, it crosses far beyond age. One, security may be needed when you're not employed, and that can come at 30, at 35. Now, you're not going to be unemployed for the next 20, 30 years till you get 60 something to get the money. Secondly, let's talk about disability, incapacity, okay? Just to mention but a few. Even responsibility. Probably by the time you are 40, you had responsibilities that were low, and your job could cover that. But when you turn 50, talking about kids, look at for example, and the measurement. One of the most concrete arguments was about the measurement of how the economy is growing fast. That probably when I started saving with the Nssf, I was about, let's say, 20 something. Now, by the time I'm turning 30, I'm still saving the same thing in an economy that probably has grown so far that yet earlier on, probably a kilo of sugar was about 2,000, maybe 1.5, but now maybe it's coming to 4,000 shillings. Now, my saving or my contribution is concrete. It's always there. But I'm living in an environment that is changing. Look at the school fees for kids. If someone has about 4 children, if you are paying then how much and now. So all these were the arguments that surrounded the need to expedite the passing of this bill. Secondly, the coronavirus pandemic has greatly influenced legislation. If you've seen up till today, Parliament is tussling with a lot of legislations. It is not precedented what you saw for this 1 year, that government has asked for how many supplementary budgets. Now, you and me know that government is the biggest spender. And if government is not spending, now imagine if government is on its knees in terms of financing, how about the wananchi? Now, that explains the need as to why we had to have a bill passed. The third, in the same line, I must also add, Robert, that when you talk about Nssf, people save, there's a purpose for saving. Everyone goes to save money for a reason. Now, that reason, when can it best be achieved? If this is a security fund, money kept in Nssf is not given for marriage, for nevertheless you can use it for but the purpose was not that. People, if someone is given money, and this is something we can also contemplate further, if someone is given probably about 200 million shillings when they are 65 years of age, and when someone is given probably another 100 million when they are 45 years of age, who can make basic, profound rebirth of the same investment? However, they can, but well, let's look at the odds. If you have a 45-year person starting up a factory or probably doing gardening, let's look at levels of interest. Let's look at the energy levels. Let's look at the enterprisingness of this particular individual.
All of those do apply. You talked about economy growing, but also we have a lifespan has grown. We were at, the lifespan was at 45. Now it has stretched. Life expectancy has now stretched to 60. And now a person at 60 can still make an investment. Take a very good example of the KFC people enjoy in Kampala. The man made it big at 75. So we can no longer limit energy and ability to invest or create things to age now.
That's okay, but let me just also give you an example.
I differ a bit from Priscilla. Yes, anyone at the age of 60 can invest. But let's look at, I've been trying to read so much, follow Nssf awards, remember who was best made. You'll find that most of these people
but you know they were categorized.
Yeah, when they get this money, most of them at 60, you'll find that investments are not so much there at that time, because this person is now out of total employment. So they only look at this money as something to sustain them. Maybe some would have rentals, some would invest in a farm.
Which is still investment, nevertheless.
No, but
which is adding to the economy, nevertheless.
A number of them at
no
this
matter
time
how little.
do not invest. They end up clearing debts, not setting up businesses. Whereas I believe a 45-year-old that gets this money and better understands its relevancy.
Okay, so I think
the energetic
the argument is in direction to investment, not what they do with their money, but in case of investment. Yes, please go on.
No, but you see, Priscilla, also important for us to note that value addition is key. Now, when you get money at what point? You see, when you give, and this is related, you look around our societies. Let's not be ideal. Let's look around our societies. Look at the production levels of different people at different stages with what they have. You talked about a KFC. I think on a spectrum of ratios, probably that's out of 100. How many of them? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but they are there.
That's what I'm saying.
Deny that fact.
Now, if we speak about numbers, even if they're there, I can tell you as a matter of fact, even Satan has followers, but he has never conquered
even
the
Satan's
heavenly
followers
kingdom.
do influence others to become followers of
But
Satan.
again, they still stay in their space of being Satan followers, you know, because the purpose of this law is not is to cause change in the livelihoodness of people. All right, that's why people are saying, and this is what I think the Honorable Agnes was saying, that look here, if we do not use, other people are using the fund, government is borrowing from Nssf left, right, center every day. Everyone is benefiting. How about us,
the savers,
the people whose money is being borrowed? And this is the question. You get it? Now, remember, people, you see, when we talk about savings, we are talking, not everyone has so much savings. Like some people subscribe about 100,000 a month, others about 50,000 a month. There is even a slot for voluntary subscription. Now, that depends on how much you earn. So, basically, the purpose, the spirit of this bill is entirely about, one, allowing people to be able to use this fund as a security fund. Security when need arises. What's the use, Chirabo, of having billions of money someone is using or sitting on them, and your kids are hungry, they can't go to school? Because again, times have changed, the economy has changed and all these kind of things. What's the use of you bragging about having money in Nssf when probably you cannot work because of disability? Now, something else that is still actually being discussed is the issue of sickness. And for me, I was talking to some of these colleagues in Parliament, and the argument is that this should be included. And I want you to, honestly, let's think about it, right?
If someone gets an accident, they're amputated at 30.
But disability is different, Priscilla. But sickness, we have people who get what we call pre-existing conditions, like cancer. Some people have all these things, you know, that need to go to India.
You know what happens, Felix?
And then they start doing car washes and all
these people
things.
Die because they have not been able to get treatment, and now it is upon their families to benefit. So
I think for me, that's
the irony of life.
You know, now that's where I see the lacuna, some of the things that are missing. Let's talk about displacement. You get the point? You see, again, it brings me back to my first explanation of security, social security. Now, we must redefine social security as an institution of Nssf, as Parliament, but also under the beacons of law. That what is social security? What falls under the category of social security? So that people, whatever falls under there, would legitimize someone getting their benefits kept with social security
with what Felix
funds.
has said, for me, it then gives me the picture that maybe this is an ambiguous target that Nssf is trying to pull off for, you know, this amendment in the bill for 45. At 45, you can get 20% of what you have on your account. Now, I think for me, maybe the better intent for Nssf was to attract the voluntary account holder. The voluntary means that I am not, employed in the formal sector, but I do want to start saving. I'm working somewhere, I'm earning my little money, I would want to start putting the money in savings. And Nssf has now made provision of that. They do have the voluntary account holding. That means you put as much money according to how much you earn. So at the end of the day, at 45, they can also earn something. So I think for me, maybe the target is to attract many Ugandans, because this can attract about like 16 million Ugandans. So if they can get half of that percentage, convert it into Nssf account holders. One, it means more money for Nssf. Two, it means more money in terms of borrowing, interest, and the gimmicks of commerce. But also it means that now more Ugandans can actually protect or secure themselves in terms of social funding when things like that do happen. And also they can also enjoy these beneficiaries at 45 and be able to invest. So if my dream is to start up a catering business at 45, then I plan that if I start saving with Nssf now, it will build me up to a good 20% so that I can remit it and convert it into business, build the economy.
Well, just to remind our viewer that it's not automatic that because you've saved with Nssf, there are terms and conditions, and these will include you must have saved for 10 years, and that is one of the qualifications. You clock 45 years. But if you lose employment and you're not yet 45 years, you have to wait for you to be able to access your benefits.
Then actually it ceases to be security.
Yeah, no, there was also that, the 5 years and the 1 year. At what point do they measure that or put that into consideration? Is it 5 years towards 45, or that's
after you've said for 10 years, but under the amendment, a contributor who fails to get employment for 5 years after losing their job will have to wait until they attain the age of 45 years to be allowed to access 20%.
I can tell you briefly the rationale. 40%
of their savings.
Let me just tell you briefly the rationale of that aspect of years. Here's the thing. Now, again, speaking about security fund, it cannot be a fund where you run to for simple detachment. It must have, you see, there's something in the law that it must have a stringent end in its own self to cause the true purpose of being security as a fund. Now, it's not security for you to be out of employment for 2-3 years, because the reasons, unless you prove unless the reasons are about unemployment, whether disability, illness, or the same that fall under the category under the law. So away from
remember,
that,
for every category, percentages did change.
Definitely.
Percentages for disability keep on changing, definitely.
All right, as social media handles, you can also give us your opinion on your 2 cents about this conversation on Twitter at UBCTV Uganda. Hashtag is UBCGMU. We are streaming live on Facebook this morning, and our Facebook handle is UBCTV. And you can also have a recap of Friday's show, just in case you missed these little children. But also on YouTube, for our friends in diaspora, we are definitely having our YouTube channel also streaming right now. That is UBC Television Uganda, and there are comments there, so you can also comment about the topic at hand and let us know your 2 cents. Maybe later on we'll be able to digest about them.
When we return, we'll be looking at some of those stories that are trending in the print media. We save you that burden every morning, causing foot jam, knocking people's bumpers. Just get glued on UBC TV. We'll return.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Enjoy great value from Airtel with the all-new My Pakalast combo offers. We have customized especially for you the best deals on minutes, data, and SMS with our 3-in-1 My Pakalast combo to give you the best value as you stay in touch with friends and family. To activate My Pakalast voice combo, dial *100 *2 *1 hash to get started.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Speed is how fast something moves. Maybe this expression has something to do with car racing.
Jonathan, did you get a dog?
No, I'm just watching Ashley's dog this weekend, so I'm getting up to speed on basic dog care.
Oh dear.
What?
Look, her dog can be a little, unusual.
It's just a dog, right?
If you get up to speed, you learn information that is necessary to do something. Sometimes you need to get up to speed to know as much as someone else. Think of it as an information race. And that's English in a Minute.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again. Well, it is 33 minutes past the hour of 7. And I believe wherever you are, you're either in transition to your workplace or you're waking up to get ready.
Or you're transitioning from your bed to your bathroom, or you're transitioning from your breakfast table into your car, or you're transitioning from dropping your child at school to now getting into the traffic jam. So many transitions in the morning.
Happening at this time. But when we assume everyone takes breakfast, so at least everyone will take a bath in the morning.
I'm sure they take water at least.
They take water at least. Okay. Well, it's time we look at some of the stories on our dailies. I have the new vision of today. That is a Monday, February the 22nd day of the month. Remember, this time it is 28 days. So plan your priorities very well. The month is about to come to an end. In the new vision, we have 15 witnesses' affidavits analyzed by handwriting experts. Chagulanyi, witnesses' signatures disrupted. This case is going to be another interesting one. Then top Chinese official meet Museveni. We also look at 180 jobs and tenders are in the new vision. Senior 4 leavers to get 2 certificates. The full story there is on page 4. 2 certificates. Then also government appeals to private schools. 1 week to the reopening of schools for semi-candidates classes. Government has urged private schools that feel constrained and are unable to open for classes on March 1st to advise parents in time. We see NUP ownership takes new twist. The battle that is over the ownership of the National Unity Platform Party has taken another twist, with 2 of its founder members challenging the recent court verdict allowing Robert Chagulanyi to take leadership of the party. It's not yet over. Still looking at the new vision on the education column, past O-level, there is chemistry, mathematics, and ICT. For you, COVID-19, more girls drop out of school due to COVID-19, and a series of city residents enjoy better life with new road upgrades.
In the world of Daily Monitor, we start by looking at COVID-19. Survivors grapple with long-term effects. You can read about that. And then in Healthy Living, we're looking at easy exercises to do while at home. But the Daily Monitor does give you a bold black and white Bobi Wine Museveni lineup. 238 witnesses. Experts find 10 Bobi witnesses' signatures forged full list of all the witnesses in poll petition. NRM warns Bobby on plan to withdraw petition, what government officials said in defense of Museveni. The legal battle is on, and a couple of people actually had a thing or two to say about the petition that is going to kick off, and so you can read about their comments, their views, their opinions in the Daily Monitor. Otherwise, on page 3, missing people. Army hand over a list to police, and then security arrest singer with 48 passports, to which the lizard is thinking maybe she keeps her fans' passports. Maybe. How media covered presidential elections. That's how it looks like today on the front page of Daily Monitor.
Still inside the New Vision, we look at, as we gear up to Women's Day, that is on the 8th of March, they bring a series of women that are hustling to make ends meet. And today we have Grace Chomukama, a carpenter on First Street Industrial Area, Kampala. She says she has been a carpenter for the last 30 years, despite the job being regarded as for men. Okay, then Know Your Member of Parliament. The New Vision brings you a Fortunate Rose Nantongo, who is Chotera Women Member of Parliament, also Rose Obiga, who is the Terego Woman Member of Parliament, and Chokama Akampura, who is the Ibanda North constituency Member of Parliament. Today in history, in the New Vision, it was on this very date, on February 22nd, 1966, when Obote ordered the arrest of ministers. That is Prime Minister Milton Obote ordered the arrest of 5 cabinet ministers who is suspected of conspiring to overthrow his government. The ministers were Grace Ibingira, George Magezi, Mathias Ngobi, Barak Chirie, and Emmanuel Lumu. Still on this very date, in 1934, Search for Capital of Queen of Sheba, acts there, novelists there, set out to find the capital referred to in the Bible as the capital of the Queen of Sheba. And looking at COVID-19 statistics, we always urge you, please do not be part of these statistics. Perfect those simple drills and also feed well to boost your immune system. Today, Uganda, so far, we've lost 333 persons have succumbed to COVID-19. Rwanda has lost 247. Kenya has lost 1,817 persons. Then South Sudan now has 85 people that have succumbed to COVID-19. Our globally worst hit countries, USA leading, followed by India, Brazil, Russia, and the United Kingdom.
Looking at the Daily Guide this morning, in the news, Robert Chagulanyi, NUP leader, will soon reach a decision on whether to go forward with a petition challenging President Museveni's re-election or to withdraw it from court. 7 die in Nigerian Air Force plane crash, and that was after a shot of a runaway in capital Abuja yesterday morning, according to officials. In the regional news, the editor's pick is looking at about 100 workers are jobless after authorities in Kabale municipality closed 2 wine processing factories over failure to meet standard operating requirements by the National Bureau of Standards. For business, they're looking at government is seeking to earn $3 billion US by 2025 from tourism, but how this is done demands. According to Lily Ajarova, the UTB Chief Executive Officer, that work begins now to put this stuff past us. Today in history, you look at Kabaka Mwanga surviving a coup. The year was 1885 on this day, and Uganda's first ministers to share a ministry. That was in April 1989. You're looking at Dr. Specioza Wandera Kaziwe and also Mr. Gerard Mutebi were the first Ugandans to be appointed ministers of the same ministry with same duties and obligations. Read about those details in the Daily Monitor.
Looking at the sports in the New Vision, we have home and dry. That is a very picture of one of our best. Kakoza struck late to lift Uganda into the quarterfinals of the AFCON Under 20 Championship. Mount Area there. Then in trouble. Couple who is in trouble there. Then you too can succeed. Who says that? That is Uganda's world record-breaking athlete Joshua Cheptegei has implored Ugandans from all walks of life to be determined in order to succeed at all costs. Still in the New Vision Sports, just down there, we have the Hippos prepare for quarter-final battle. Interesting there. That is how we are doing AFCON U20 finals. We have Malteria 1, Uganda 2, Cameroon 4, Mozambique 1.
For daily sports this morning, Australian Open, Osaka Djokovic, Xavier wins, and then we look at how Hippos find composure to progress. They have progressed through. The details will be coming through on our sports updates with Ruben P. Machibirango. However, confusion 2 weeks after the Africa Under-20 Women's Championship was cancelled, the Congolese team arrives in Kampala to complete obvious for the development. RDC V ball team in for cancelled event. On social justice, we look at Italian NGO sinking 55 billion shillings into youth sports development. And also football, Everton win at Anfield for first time since 1999. Those are some of the stories coming your way through the daily sport.
And when we return, we'll be looking at traffic updates. But before we go, Priscilla, have you ever imagined spending the whole day putting on white?
Yeah, I have spent a whole day putting on white.
Look at the traffic officers.
Yeah.
I want to commend these gallant sons and daughters of this country. Spending the whole day on the streets of Kampala. Some are very dusty, but putting on white. There's an officer I always pass around Chibuye roundabout. Very, very clean. From morning to sunset. These people really, white is not an easy color, but they spend the entire day looking very, very clean. Good job. We commend you. Let's return with traffic updates with Traffic Officer Naroga Priscilla.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Stay connected to the largest 4G network in Uganda, anytime, anywhere, using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi, available at only 123,000 Uganda shillings. This comes with 15 GB free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 users at a go and still enjoy a shared yet unmatched internet experience. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GB. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Forcing something to happen takes effort, power, and strength. Forcing someone's hand sounds painful.
How did your talk go with Rupert?
Not good. I had to fire him.
You fired him? But we really need him on this project.
I didn't plan to. He forced my hand. He refused to work on the project. He wanted to do other work instead.
Yeah, I guess he did force your hand.
When you force someone's hand, you make them act or speak before they are ready. You give them no other choice. This expression probably comes from card games. Sometimes you're forced to play one of your cards before you really want to. And that's English in a Minute.
Yes, yes, yes!
Dear children, this is Auntie Jovita, your friend, your mentor, your mother, who is here to give you a message of hope. We've all been affected by the lockdown in different ways, but we are all looking forward for tomorrow. We want to see the new world. We want to see the new normal. And I'm telling you, as much as you think you're being held up in your home, your parents are not allowing you to get out of the house. They have a reason. I know that you're missing school, you're missing your friends, you're missing your favorite activities, but they are
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning to you once again. Welcome to the last week of February 2021. The year is starting to move. Question is, are you starting to move yourself? Now, speaking of movement, we get to look at the traffic movement this morning from a roundabout that I find so fascinating. It has been done in such a way that it adds beauty to the surroundings of Salama. You add beauty to the surroundings of Munyonyo and any other surrounding area, to which we commend UNRA for doing such a good job. We get to look at this roundabout. It intersects three major routes. That is Salama Road, you look at Munyonyo Road, and also it does intersect with the Entebbe Express Highway. Now, just a reminder that in 3 months, a French firm will be starting to collect fees for everyone who uses express highways to be able to connect to wherever they want to connect to. Fees will later on be told unto us after they get the contract or they contract the actual French firm. Then also, just in consideration of this area, if you are into architecture, or if you just love to look at buildings, trust you me, these areas of Mulongo and Marina are very, very interesting, that they have beautiful houses. So you can just do a drive-through over the weekend and check out the architecture of the houses, the homes in this area. You'll be inspired if you want to put up a structure of your own. Now, away from the inspiration from the day in architecture, we get to look at the purpose as to why we're here, which is traffic. Now, I would like to look at the traffic on Salama and also Munyonyo, but let me start off with Munyonyo. Of course, you do have a little bit of a hiccup here. There is a taxi park here of sorts. Commuter taxis do collect here and pick up passengers from these particular areas to be able to get them through Munyonyo, Bunga, Soya, then Kansanga, Kabaragara into the heart of the city. So looking at this route, basically this morning, Wavamuno Road, it doesn't have much jam building up. The roads seem to be clear this morning, and this road does build up into the area of Bunga, Soya, joining you onto Gaba Road. So Wavamuno into Gaba Road, the traffic is very clear, the road is very clear. And then when we come back and look at how things are moving through the routes of Salama, you get to know that Salama now does have a back route to it, which is Lukuli Road, which is through Munyonyo Primary. Now, Lukuli Road is an option currently because Salama Road has a number of potholes. So if you do have a saloon car and you do not want to, you know, be tampering with the potholes, then you might want to learn the route, which is through Lukuli, which brings you straight up to the Munyonyo roundabout here. If this is where your end point is, then please do consider learning the route. But sticking to Salama Road this morning, we do have some traffic just a little bit there, where you do have other commuter taxis also do park here to pick up passengers to connect to Munyonyo or to connect to the other deeper sides of Entebbe and the likes. But on continuing to Salama Road, you get to see that this morning, Salama Road, much as these areas are residential, there's not jam away from the Munyonyo roundabout, except the different spots that you're seeing that are orange are simply because of commuter taxis. They do have some stages at some of these points. Then you look at the area of Luasa on Salama Road. In Tubuziga, these are still residential areas on both sides, but because you do have feeder roads that bring in residents joining Salama route this morning, this is why you do have the orange lines. And as you can see, this orange line has now shortened to, because of the jam that has cleared up, now it's clear. It shows you that residents are actually starting to get to the road and get onto their next destinations. The little orange hiccups could be an interpretation either of taxis or potholes that we talked about. And then we get to look at the rest of Salama around T Supermarket. It looks clear. So just basically the rest of Salama Road this morning does not have a lot of jam as we speak right now. Around Masaja and Jana Kumbi on Salama, there's not traffic jam. You look at Much India Junior Academy, there's not so You get to look at the rest of Salama. What does it look like? Now, you know, Salama does come to a crossroad which crosses with Mobutu Road that connects to Entebbe Road, and also on the upper side connects to Machinde. So we want to get to that crossroad, and there we are. Voila, we have arrived at the crossroad that I'm talking about. This is Mobutu Road. It does cross through and connects to Entebbe Road on this end, and then you also have it connecting to Machinde in the trading center on this other end. But let's look at the crossroad. From Salama Road, it does connect also to Chibuye roundabout. Now, in this particular area, you can see there is a lot of jam on either side, but there is always a traffic. You do have the Machinde police post here is always managing this traffic. But as you can see, in either route, coming into or getting into the heart of the city or out of the city, you are having some serious jam buildup, and this could take you about 20 minutes. But Salama Road does connect to Chibuye on Entebbe Road, and so that connection this morning is clear. Of course, there's a taxi park on either side of this particular junction, and that shows you that the route at least going to Salama Road is clear. The route to Chibuye is also clear, simply because these taxis cannot go back to Entebbe Road and then come back into the heart of the city. They usually will connect through Machinde to be able to connect to the heart of the city. So let's look at that connection and what it looks like. Around Machinde Shell petrol station, you have Namasole Road, you have Mobutu Road. This cross section also is another one. There is a serious pothole here, there's a serious pothole here, then there are serious dents that can equate to ponds on either side of these particular roads. And so it does affect the flow of jam, because you have to take it slowly in order for your car to pass easily. And that is why you do have some slow jam picking up at this cross junction. But this Mobutu Road does connect you to the Chibuye roundabout directly. What does that look like this morning? Orange shows you that the flow of traffic is really slow, and by slow I mean maybe the traffic will allow in 5 cars to connect to Chibuye roundabout, then you wait for another 10 to 15 minutes. And so if you have the patience and you're not in a rush hour, you can stick to this. But if you are in a rush hour, you might want to get alternative routes away from this traffic, because it never moves. Why? Because there's so many other roads. You have 3 roads feeding Chibuye roundabout, and yet you have only 2 roads that are taking out the traffic that comes in from these 3 roads. So you actually have 1 road that takes the traffic into the heart of the city, because this is Entebbe Road. It brings in more traffic, and of course this is clear because majorly people are getting into the city, not out of the city. So this is from Ndeba Masaka Road, this is Entebbe Road, and this is Mobutu Road. This is from Machinde, and they only have 1 major route of Katwe to take them into the heart of the city. So it usually causes a lot of jam. Actually, the jam on Entebbe Road can stretch all the way to Freedom City. You'll be surprised. Cars can be in a standstill all the way to Freedom City, which is not something you want to see. As you can see, it's stretching up to Kenjoy. It is stretching up to Nyondo. You do have it affecting some of the feeder roads that are bringing in traffic for people to connect on Entebbe Road. This is a Stella Junction, and there's also traffic for that connection coming through, meaning that there are people who are using this as a shortcut to join Entebbe Road. They're trying to avoid the rest of the street. You can also see that it's going, you see it's going all the way to Freedom City. So that is interesting. If you are using this main route, please do learn some shortcuts so that you can be able to avoid this jam. It can take you 30 to 40 minutes of standstill jam on this road. These red lines do not change a lot every single morning. With that, we come to the end of the traffic updates that should guide you into how the rest of the day and the rest of the routes are looking like in the heart of Kampala. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yellow, how are you? Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do. Sent you for today, and they sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and if we enjoy life with you, we are happy, happy, day to know that we will go with you. That's why we say thank you, thank you, thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Your Uganda, your nation. Different ministers, department and agency heads all on one platform as we seek answers to the hard unanswered questions and accountability. From health to welfare, economy to governance, infrastructure, everything and everyone placed under the spotlight. Spotlight Uganda, Mondays 10 p.m. to midnight, live on UBC TV.
Hello, my name is Dr. Henry Dungu, a consultant in hematology and oncology. Health promotion and disease prevention programs focus on keeping people healthy. They aim to engage and empower individuals and communities to choose healthy behaviors and make changes that reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases and other illnesses. Join me on New Health Chat every Thursday at 9 p.m. on UBC TV, sponsored by National Medical Stores, who are mandated to procure, store and distribute essential medicines and medical supplies to all public health facilities in the country.
It is intellectually engaging.
Court does not sit to waste its time. If you have no defense, it chases you.
It is a ruling on the foundations. Business has been conducted in a certain way.
Banks take money from us, depositors. All of us seated here have got money in the bank. And even before you walk out, they've given that money to somebody else.
Deeply incisive.
The law enjoins us to be answerable to the sovereign of the country.
Our members of the force, we have always been demanding officers to be highly disciplined and being accountable to people of Uganda.
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odongto.
A very welcome.
Probably the most experienced talk show moderator in Uganda, with a team of illustrious panelists. Honorable Margaret Mohanga, a veteran journalist, legislator, entrepreneur and development consultant, and Ramadan Gobi, an economist and university don.
I've really got perturbed that in Uganda we are building parties with no membership subscription.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Yes, yes, yes!
Dear children, this is Auntie Jovita, your friend, your mentor, your mother, who is here to give you a message of hope. We've all been affected by the lockdown in different ways, but we are all looking forward for tomorrow. We want to see the new world. We want to see the new normal. And I'm telling you, as much as you think you're being held up in your home, and your parents are not allowing you to get out of the house, they have a reason. I know that you're missing school, you're missing your friends, you're missing your favorite activities, but they are also missing you too. They've been in one place for a very long time. You need to be safe and come back to school when you're healthy so that you enjoy your life as a child once again. I love you, children.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Stay connected to the largest 4G network in Uganda, anytime, anywhere, using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi, available at only 123,000 Uganda shillings. This comes with 15 GB free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 users at a go and still enjoy a shared yet unmatched internet experience. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GB. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It gives us great joy knowing that you're with us on UBC TV, and this is Good Morning Uganda, in case you've just joined us, every weekday from 6:30. Well, at one point, anyone who wants to leave the country or even come into the country will have to pass through the immigration offices of this country. And of late, if you've been observant or moved through Ruzira or anywhere near the immigration offices, head offices in Kampala, what you've witnessed are long queues we've never seen. People as early as 4 a.m. have already begun lining up to get either passports or any information from the immigration offices. And today we are going to be discussing what has caused this. What went wrong at the immigration office, where we are now seeing people lining up. If you pass by, even right now, if you're driving through that road, you're going to notice people lining up almost as the roundabout, just as you clock to that final corner, that is the Airtel roundabout, up to meet Parkers, and the line continues. All these people want to either get passports or pick their passports or have something to do with the immigration office. Today we are going to be discussing internal investigations at the immigration office. And with me in studios is the spokesperson of Ministry for Internal Affairs, Jacob Siminyu. Siminyu.
Yes, sir.
You're most welcome to our studio.
Thank you so much. Our dear viewers, we are glad we are here again to clarify on a number of issues. I know you have said investigations, but you're fond of expanding the chapter. We are also ready to explain to our viewers so that they can understand what is taking place at the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
I must say you're smart. Every time I see you, you have more pimps added.
Yes, you should be congratulating me and maybe organize for me a party.
A party?
Yes.
After COVID, I promise.
Well,
just let me know after
scientific.
COVID. I want to give this big thing.
The big one?
The big one, after COVID.
Okay, but after COVID, there will be no big parties. We have learned that people have known to live within their means, to associate with fewer people during parties as opposed to the previous time. So maybe mine will also be a small one.
Okay, I have a small one for you. You know, COVID has been an excuse for many people not to spend so much. So I was looking at something that I want a big party. Wait, Just remind me of a friend who told her wife, "You can't have this small scientific wedding. So wait, after COVID, she'll have that big wedding and have all relatives. Why panic? Why panic?" So after COVID, she'll have that party. But going straight to the topic, Siminyu, like I said earlier, people are wondering what really went wrong. We've never seen such excuse before. We've heard there have been media reports that hackers hacked into the system of Ministry for Internal Affairs. Now people are getting passports, others are getting visas. What is the menace? What is really happening?
What is happening, it's supposed to be an indicator of good performance. Why? Because previously we were handling very few people. And since 2016 we have been electronizing our systems and processes, and we are now able to serve very many clients. For example, on the immigration system, where we would only issue visas from our border points and the Entebbe, we are now able to issue visas to people worldwide because they apply from wherever they are and they come only when they have an approval. So we do the internal processes, we examine them, and they come. With the electronic systems, we have, since 2016, we have served over 2 million applicants. And that means that if there is any interference in the service, it can create a scenario that you have never seen. Because the 2 million we have served since 2016 on one system, means that in a day we have the capacity to serve more than 2,000 applicants just on one system. And I can assure you that the crowd will be, you will understand clearly. Now, when it comes to passports, which we started issuing e-passports using our old processes, kind of, in December 2018. In December 2019, we started issuing passports online. Our number of passports issued increased from 1,000 to over, from 500 to over 1,000, around 1,200, 1,300. That is a substantial number of people. Now, when I say 1,200, I mean we have received 1,200 applications, but on the same day, we are also issuing, giving out ready passports to the tune of 1,300 to even 1,400. And that is when COVID came in. So when COVID came in, it interfered with our processes in such a way that we had to cut down, when we were authorized to work, to 30%. 30% means if you have 1,000 people to serve, you will serve only 300. The 700 will wait. Then tomorrow another 700 will wait. The other day there will be 2,100 waiting. Do you understand that? If you take a month serving, that will be 1,700 times 24. So it means that the people who are waiting to have passports are many. On top of that, there is a deadline. The deadline which we have just extended from 31st for using machine-readable passports, the old passport. We have extended it to 2022, April 4th. However, many Ugandans want their passports. The population is increasing, and the opportunities have also now been opened in the Middle East. So we have Ugandans seeking to travel. So this also increases now the number of applicants. So where we were serving 1,000, maybe 200, 1,000 to 1,200, the demand now is higher. It's higher than 1,000 to 1,200, but at the same time, we are, because of COVID, not able to serve all of them. So that now turns into a delicate situation. So what labor export companies have done, because our system was programmed in such a way that if you pay express, you come and find your application open. So as opposed to those who are paid 250. So labor export companies have chosen to pay express. But now, after paying express, they just carry people and bring them in hundreds. There are over 100 labor companies. If each of them brings 100 or 200, you know the kind of situation that is. So, in other words, what you have just seen is a better version of what can be a bad story.
So with these technical explanations, very good. When you do the mathematics, it tallies to that. Do you refute allegations that really there are people that hacked into this system and now this is the challenge you're having?
The bigger explanation that I've given is about passports.
Okay.
It's not about the investigations that are going on. But I can also explain to you...
Yeah, because this is the concern of Ugandans. When they see, they imagine that too. When they see this whole line, then they hear, yes, the investigations of hacking. One wonders, how safe are we? So these two
we are extremely secure. First of all, I wouldn't call it hacking. It was just an internal... In December, we discovered... First of all, let me say, in 2016, we introduced an electronic system for immigration. And we came here and told you that this system, first of all, is very secure. It has an audit trail that when you try to play around, we can find out. It is just a matter of time. So, and we follow up on these audits. So regularly, we carry out internal audit on the system to monitor and see whether it is functioning very well. So what is alleged in the new vision is it started internally when we discovered some wild cards. They call them wild cards. Like when you have a graph, graphs which are low, 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 then you have one which is very high. So our system, when you look at it, you mark that one and say something must be happening here. It's like when you go to, when you say you have a maid and like I told you, she has been cooking 1 kilo, all of a sudden 10 kilos. So the question is, was there a party in my home? Was food stolen? Which calls for investigation. So when we found some wild cats, we decided to carry out an investigation. And after doing some investigations, we discovered there could be some breach on processes. And those processes do not lead to loss of revenue, as alleged. Let me explain it even better. That when you're applying for any immigration facility, you start by paying before it can start being processed. The payment goes to URA. So there is no amount of breach on our system that will affect the revenue. Because for an application to land on our system, bam, it must have paid. Like you go to pay for passport.
Then what would be the impact of these wild cats?
That's
yes,
what
we want to understand.
So
what were they targeting? Are we seeing people getting Ugandan citizenship when they don't qualify? No. Are we seeing people getting, because an hacker, or what you want to soften as a wild cat, must have a purpose for doing that.
Let me make it clear. I want it to be clear right from the studio, then to our viewers, that the investigations are taking place in immigration. So this is the system which serves foreigners who are asking for visas, students' passes, dependents' passes, and all those facilities for foreigners.
And there is a figure that they put to that. People that are now getting those services due to what happened.
Let me explain to you.
Yes.
That it has nothing to do with documents. That's where that's another thing that, because when you say documents, Ugandans will know passports,
citizenry,
passports, those things like that. But it has nothing to do. It has much to do with immigration facilities. What steps does it go through? Like a visa, what steps does it go through? So what we discovered was that there was 2 officers who were processing a certain category of people, and we imagine that this high number of similar nationalities could have been motivated by an external engagement so that the officer can help them faster, and therefore got some logons that can help the officers to do that. This has nothing to do with revenue. It has much to do with documentation, and we can, at a later stage when investigations are completed, imagine that there were incidences of compromise or corruption, not loss of revenue. Yeah, that if you ask for something,
maybe I ask, okay, let's just take an example of what you do for our audience to better understand this. That means there were the officers you've mentioned that maybe were aiding people to get maybe citizenship, maybe get
to facilitate them faster.
To get what? Faster. What were they seeking? What do they seek in your office?
To get visas, to get permits. But these applications would pay normally.
Yes.
Normally and to URA, and there's no loss of revenue. So that compromise is attributed to security. So we detected that, investigated, did our investigations, called in other agencies to investigate, and the investigations are still ongoing. So where New Vision got the report, we know that the investigations are still ongoing, and we are waiting if the officers can be produced in court. That's what we are waiting. So I want to allay the fears of the citizens that, one, if the officers are found guilty, these applications can be withdrawn. Their owners can be found out whether they are still in the country or not in the country. So it is not something that, and there are not so many. There are not so many, because we serve over 4,000 in a day. So even if they are, as the New Vision says, 300, we can look for them, and then you can find that maybe half are in the country. Then look for them,
others have already left
our system, and get them.
So, Siminyu, just before we leave this, that means, according to your explanation, if you are to go by what you've told us, that first, the issue that happened were people being aided to fasten processes.
Yes.
Not wrong people getting documents that they shouldn't be getting.
No.
True?
Not, it's just processes. Someone wanting to go over it, maybe for some fee, we don't know the motive, but that's what we are investigating. So it is also very unfair to bring this here when the investigations are not yet concluded. So we, at this point, can only establish on the surface, because now we have not established what was the motive of making applications faster for some people. Because this system is standard. If Chirabo can do 38, 40, 38, 40, why would you do 80 today, tomorrow, and the other day, and only after some time? Because previously you have also been doing 38 to 45. So those are the things that we are investigating to find out what is the motive. Could there be something more? But from the way we see it, is that rule out no loss of revenue, but there could be incidences of corruption. Yes.
Well, interesting, but we'll be getting back to that a bit. But let's continue with the queues at Ministry of Interior Affairs where people are getting passports. Siminyu, this cannot be the order of the day. We can't just believe that because this happened, now companies are dumping hundreds of people there. What is the way forward?
First of all, I want to announce very clear that now we do not allow the crowd to come to our gates.
I was there on Saturday, Siminyo.
To our gates, you go there now. We can only allow you to come to our gate when it is 8 o'clock, because we open at 8. So whoever is bringing people and dumping there, we shall now start victimizing, arresting them. If you come and you are...
These innocent girls?
Now, we don't allow you to access our premises
before
8.
Because people would be there as early as 4 a.m.
Wherever they will be, but they will not be at our premises. We will ensure they are not at our premises. Secondly, we are going to engage the labor exporters, listen to them, and we come up with a way forward. Because this, as you say, cannot be the order of the day. But internally, we have also put in extra effort. One, the number of applications has increased, the number of applications received has increased now to about 1,000. This is almost like normal process. And 2, we work up to 7, from 8 to 7, as opposed to 8 to 4, as previously. 8 to 5. We used to work up to 5, meaning that the last set of applications to be received would be 4 o'clock when you go to the appointments. And you were there on Saturday. Saturday is not a working day, but we were working.
Yeah.
So we were...
As far as meat packers, the lines were there.
We were trying to put in public holidays, working up to 7, and we are going to increase the number of staff, but we also need some money to increase on the kits that are being used.
But people are paying. You said these are results of express.
Understand this. And I want even the viewers to understand that when they pay to your pocket. They don't pay to our pockets. They pay to you, Chirabo's pocket. Because they pay that money, it goes to URA and goes to the consolidated fund. So for us also to buy an extra kit, we ask for money. So we can increase the number of staff, but we can't increase it beyond a certain point. Why? Because we would need kits. We are now processing Mbarara. We are soon opening it so that Ugandans can go there. We are also in the process of working on Mbale so that it has same equipment like here, and then Gulu. So we need funds to get that done so that Ugandans can go there. Also, after we are done with the 3 regions, we are also going to 6 missions abroad. And that's London, Copenhagen, Ottawa, Washington, D.C., Pretoria, and Abu Dhabi, and I think Beijing. Those are 7 locations. So we are also going there so that Ugandans who are in the diaspora can also get their apply for their passports from there without having any encumbrance. And we will, of course, when resources allow, continue to other missions to try and reduce the distance for Ugandans in the diaspora, which they travel to go and look for travel documents. So this, the queues that you see there, we expect people to come on appointment. And fellow Ugandans, if you have an appointment, come on the time for your appointment, you will be served. People who come to collect passports, when they come, I think they mix with those others, but we normally separate them because someone who has come for his ready passport, we send them messages. So we get them out, and we get their receiving slips and read. So the process is kind of smooth. We're only being let down by the labor export companies who want to get all passports of the people they have at the same time. Even when you pay for express.
Because there's that facility.
Yes, even when you pay for express, bring a reasonable number. Don't just bring hundreds, and don't bring people at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is not our responsibility. Our responsibility begins at 8 when we open the gates, screen people, ensure they are following the standard operating procedures, Now, if you bring people at 4 and pour them along Old Port Bell Road, as I told you, we no longer allow anyone to come near our
So what you're going to do, the people are there, then for you just deny them access to your premises?
We deny them access to our premises.
Because they think they are booking to be first dealt with.
No.
As the queue, by the time you open up,
people are supposed to come
on appointment.
Because if you have express, why wouldn't you come at 8?
Do you follow the queue, or do you follow when working on people? Because I was able to interview a few on Saturday, like I told you, and they were telling me it is on first come, first serve basis. So if I have an appointment and I come, maybe they told me at 2, where am I going to pass? Because you're seeing you have to follow the queue to get inside.
I can assure you, within a very short time, we will find a solution to these people who think that because they have 150, and the labor export companies are compelling these girls to pay for express, whereas they shouldn't be paying for express. If you can get a passport in 4 days, I think that's another element of criminality. If I must serve you, you must pay express, and then you carry them and dump them at Old Port Bell Road at 4 a.m. Sometimes there is rain, there is coldness. You do not have security at that time to protect them from goons. So I think there is criminality in that, but we are going to engage the labor export companies and ensure that we sort this out. Meanwhile, you can't access our premises until 8.
Well, also another issue that was raised, I spoke to some people who are not even among the labor export companies, and they were telling me the deadline for the ordinary passports or machine passports to be rolled out is also now an issue that everybody is rushing to ensure that come April they have an electronic or e-passport by them. So that this is also another issue. And they'll say, but you're working slow. You know, the deadline, you've set it.
When is the deadline?
April.
April?
If I get you right, yes.
April which year? I want to know whether a normal Ugandan knows the deadline. But we announced that the deadline was supposed to be 31st.
Which you extended.
Which we extended to April 2022. Which means that you can use your passport now to travel, because all you need is 6 months on your passport.
Just to emphasize that, because many I spoke to had April as that date. They believe that come first, like you had said it before. So this is the panic.
I think it is part of it. But the bigger part of it is the opportunities unfold outside Uganda, which Ugandans want to take advantage of. So you also have to understand that the labor export companies want to take advantage, but the unfortunate bit
because they have a deadline the other side, and they have contracts they have signed to be able to deliver these domestic workers, because most of the girls I spoke to are going to do domestic work.
We have not signed with them the contracts, but when you are signing a contract, you have to bear in mind what you can afford to deliver.
So they believe with Express they can fit within their contract. So it's you to up your game.
But remember that they are comparing the girls, whereas they say that they are taking them for free, comparing them to
pay
Express, which is unfair. And they don't stop there. They come and they bring them at 4 a.m. When there is rain, who is going to protect them from the cold and all that kind of thing? So there is unfairness, which you are not seeing. So call them also here and you ask them, why do they bring people at 4 a.m. when offices are going to open at 8? Because for us, our officers sign with the government a contract. When they appoint you, they say you will be subject to the standing orders. Standing orders say offices must open at 8 and close at 5. However, we choose to ask officers to work up to 7 so that we are able to serve more people in the public. So going forward, there is a much stronger approach to it, that we could no longer hold to 300. We have gone into 1,000 so that we serve more people. And as we talk, that means we serve a minimum of 2,500 people at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. But these people are asked to come on appointments, because if you are coming to pick your passport, you come with a message. And when they call you on that day, come on that day. Don't wait to come another day. If you have time, ensure you come. And then those who make appointments, ensure you fulfill your appointments. For labor companies, we are trying to engage them so that they can see our point.
So the burden is so high for you.
But we are also increasing, working on public holidays like Saturday. You remember John and Luum Day, we worked just to make sure that we allow Ugandans to get travel documents and go wherever they want. Maybe they can contribute to the GDP. We give them an opportunity to contribute to the GDP of this country. So we are doing whatever it takes to ensure that that matter is solved.
Well, Jacob, before I let you go, due to time, let's have your final remarks to Ugandans regarding the investigations and also this issue of long queues at the passport office.
Ugandans should not really be scared. This is an internal process which we started ourselves. So we called in other agencies to carry out investigations and even ensure that if there is anyone who is culpable, he's taken through the legal process. It's just unfortunate that we still have tendencies of leakage of documents that are still in the process. But it is nothing to do with the loss of revenue. It has much to do with violation of processes or doing much more than you should be doing, and then we start asking, why are you doing much more than you should be doing? And so that it gives us an opportunity to find out whether there are no instances of corruption. But the investigations are still going on, and let's give an opportunity to the investigations to go on until this matter is concluded. On passports, I would like to remind Ugandans that the deadline for using our old passport is 4th April 2022, not 2021, 2022. So if you have an old passport, you can continue using it, but also find time, apply, and choose an appointment date, then prepare to come on that day. For those who have made appointments, don't get scared. We shall serve you. There is no one who will not be served. We will serve everybody. As I told you, we have put in extra measures to ensure that we serve everybody. But generally speaking, there has been an increase in labor being exported. But that has to go with passports. And most of the time, they blame us in Entebbe that we are the ones again trafficking. For us, we are the ones who allow people to go out legally. So we are also engaging the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development so that their staff can be uniformed at the airport, because they are the ones who clear them. For us, by the time they reach us, they have been cleared by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I want Ugandans to understand that at the airport, it's not only immigration which is there. We have many agencies. And on the issue of labor, it is the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development that clears people. For us, we clear travelers. For them, they clear people who are going out for labor export. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, Jacob Siminyu, who is the spokesperson of Ministry of Internal Affairs, for having clarified on a number of issues. Investigations are still ongoing, and we will host him also to give us the final, for people to know what exactly the investigations have discovered. But as of now, he has allayed fears that anything would be going wrong, saying, yes, there are no financial losses as it has been attributed. We pray and hope that the issue of domestic workers leaving the country and the long queues will also be resolved sooner than later. Have a lovely day. God bless you. Keep it on UBC TV. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.